Blessings, Sister Tori. How are you? How was your day? I'm okay. I've had better days, but I'm glad to be alive, so I dare not complain. Thanks for asking. Every day above ground is a good day. Pain and all, it is a blessing. Could have been worse. There are others who are experiencing much more than me. It's giving a few more people time to sign on with us. Thank you for signing on. We appreciate you. Phone is doing some crazy stuff right now. Hey Shay, what's going on? What's going on? Well, so many things have happened since we last chatted together. So much death all around us, and we're just appreciative of God's favor upon our lives that He allows us to keep on getting on. So that's why I say I dare not complain. And death has no age. So many young people have lost their lives in the past 3 weeks that I don't know, it's an eye opener, at least it should be an eye opener for most of us because God has no respect of person, neither does a bullet, neither does life in and of itself. We don't always understand it, even when we know that someone that's in our life is near death's door or in hospice for better sake. You still just never ready for that moment. So, as I see the mothers on this week that have lost their children, that mother who lost her 12-year-old child senselessly caught up in the midst of somebody else's gunfire. Some of our very own have lost children within this last week and a half. And I haven't been there and done that. I can tell you that it's just no set of words that could explain the heartache and the misery behind it. There's nothing spectacular that anybody could say that would make it seem as though it was easy. It's just, even with knowing that God is in control, you're still like, man, like why? Like you see this happening to other people, but you never expect it to happen to you. And like I said, as we witnessed on this week and as we have received the phone calls and the messages about various ones losing their children. I was always taught to believe that it was the children's job to bury the parents and not the other way around. And it gets kind of hard, even though you love God and you know who He is. Sometimes you still like feel some kind of way because why you had to take mine? It was easy for you to be there for X, Y, and Z, or to comfort somebody, or to make them feel, better or light in the midst of a dark situation. Move the table out so you can get in. But when it comes to your door, it hits a whole nother way. It's a whole nother way. And so tonight, my bestie was like, maybe we should talk about grief. Because even though when you consider grief, the first thing you think about is a physical death. Somebody lost their brother, somebody lost their mom, somebody lost their leader, and now, they're unsure of what they're going to do. But nobody talks about the other types of grief, because death does not necessarily mean somebody in the grave. You could have broken up from a very bad relationship, or hey T, you could have broken up with somebody. That's a loss. And believe it or not, there are some people who are almost ready to take their lives because of the loss, because of time invested, because they just never thought that it would end. They never saw themselves anywhere else with anyone else. And so when that relationship comes to an end, it's kind of hard for them to, grasp it all. It's you feel like, you're losing it. And when it gets to that place, I don't know. I've learned to say, as I called someone who was one of the parents who lost their child this week, all I wanted them to know was that I'm here. I didn't say, oh, how you doing? Because that's a crazy question to ask somebody who just lost their child. You just find that it's better to just say, I want you to know that I'm here and we're praying. And to hear them say, you know what, thank you. I needed to know that. I needed to hear that. It's the way that we should. It's some people just don't know what to say, and what they do decide to say could send you off the cliff, because it might seem inconsiderate, but in all actuality, the person didn't know what else to say. They didn't know how else to be there for you. And for many years, that was me until I realized, like, hey, when it happened to me, I'm like, don't be asking me how I feel. Like, I just lost a loved one, whether it be mother, father, sister, brother, aunt. I lost somebody, but I just need to know that you're there. And then not just know that you're there, because everybody's there while you're preparing for the funeral. Everybody's there. Everybody's stopping by. Everybody bringing you something to eat. You're almost giving food away because people are just stopping by, and they know that you might not have time to cook, so they're bringing you food and things, but nobody considers after death. After death. I still need that phone call. I still need you to check in on me. I still need you, to come by and make sure I'm good, or just call me to let me know that you're thinking about me. It goes from all to nothing. And so many times when I have words at these services now, I remind the people that it's good and we're here for you now. You see us all here now, but once that body goes in the ground, or once that casket goes in the ground, it seems like everybody disappears. And you're just left alone to deal with all that comes with grief, the rage, the anger, the abandonment. Believe it or not, people who have lost loved ones often feel abandoned. you know, and they find themselves angry with God. That's a dangerous place, but we find ourselves angry with God if we would just tell the truth. Because why did you take mine? Why did it have to be my family? Like I'm here. I'm always there for everybody else. I'm always making sure everybody's good. I'm always making sure the program goes off without any incident. So why me? So when you thought about talking about grief tonight, what brought you there?
I was looking at Facebook between yesterday and today, and so many people that we know that we're connected to has lost their sons. Some as early as 12 years old has lost a daughter. Um, it's just a lot going on, and we're here at Thanksgiving, and a lot of these people are losing people around the holidays, something you will never forget. It leaves an everlasting mark. As I watch some of the statuses today that say, I'm angry. Why did this have to happen to me? How do I go on in my life without my son or my daughter or my husband, whoever? How do I move forward from this place? So I figure we can come on and encourage them, being in the place that has lost a mother, someone that has lost a brother. My brother died at a very young age. Um, he had cancer and he was only 19. And we had to bury him. My foster mother who raised me. And it's my mom that just passed. My best friend's birthday is coming up. Trice, she's been dead for a minute now, but her birthday is coming up. And so all of that today, as I was, sorry, it was a mosquito on you,
Just
having
wanted to hit me.
my time in the office, and I begin to think about even her today. So grief never stops, and she's been gone for almost 2 years now, and I still have my times and my moments where I think about our conversations or how I will call her for her birthday and say happy birthday. So grief, I don't think it never ends, but it gets better. It does get better, and you don't have to grieve the way you did when it first, as time go on. Grieving should become easier. You never
I
get
was going to
over
ask
it,
you, is it easier
but it
or
should
better?
become easier as you continue to go on your. I can't tell you how long it's going to take. Only you can say how long it would take for me not to feel this pain anymore. Only you can be the judge of that. But in all reality, when I asked Apostle, could we talk about it? It was just because I saw a lot of people on my timeline today asking God why, or saying I don't even want to celebrate Thanksgiving. And I have Christmas coming up where I already went shopping for this person. I had their gifts on layaway, different things like that. That's heartbreaking to scroll up and down the timeline to see. So I just wanted to encourage somebody today to tell them to just keep praying. That's really the only thing you could say other than counseling. Get with someone and talk with someone so they can help you get through that moment, because it's a very rough place to be.
There's so many aspects to consider when we're grieving. And I think we came on this time last year as well,
Yes, we
because
did.
this is the most prominent time for suicidal attempts.
Yes,
This is the most prominent time, holiday time, when that person you're used to spending a holiday with is not here. Or you
yes,
go to call that person and realize, hey, they really are gone. Like, I really can't talk to them. And then, how long is too long for grief? And who's to say there are some people who feel guilty because they don't grieve anymore? They have a guilt complex about the fact that they don't find themselves grieving the person the way they used to. And instead of seeing it as a healing that is taking place to a hurt part of you, you are finding
right.
yourself guilty, feeling guilty
For grieving.
for not. So say some my no. Mm-mm. So my mom passed away. Excuse me, y'all. My mom passed away. I'm still grieving. I'm still grieving because I didn't have chance to grieve when she first passed. I was too busy being the strong one. I was too busy being the apostle. I was being the sister. I was being the grandmother, but I never got a chance to be the daughter who lost her mom.
So is it getting better? Is it getting easier though? You're not
That's
in
why I
the
said
same
I
place.
wouldn't say that it's getting better. I might be getting better at it, but it's becoming easier. But I still have those moments where I just want my mother. Um, there are certain situations that when I find myself in, she was the go to. And who do I now trust with that much of me? And outside of you, there's because um, like to people like to feel like they're the one who knows all the information. Some people come and ask you how you're doing, not because they're sincerely concerned about how you're doing, but you want to be able to hear my story so that when somebody else says something, you can like, oh, I talked to them and da 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 da. You want to be the one that's up on everything. But when I'm now thinking about my mom, I'm not distraught like I was like when that first Mother's Day came. I mean, it's not even 3 years. So when my first Mother's Day came and I went to pick up that phone to call her, that's when it hit me. You know that. I almost lost it. Like I just didn't even want to be here anymore because the realization of the one who I looked up to, the one who made me sure that faith could keep you alive, the one who had another way of looking at everything. That person was now gone. I was not going to be able to call him. I was not going to be able to hold their hands. I was not going to be able to hear her fussing because I don't have on those sleeves and I'm an apostle. And, you think about different things like that that mattered. That person who was there for all my first, when I first started preaching, my first robe, when I first started pastoring, my first communion set, like she always made sure that I knew that she believed in who I was. And so to not have her, hey Dom, it's a lot. And so there are those who, like me, I don't feel guilty, but I'm like, I don't know if I can't say that I'm fully over it.
I don't think you will ever become fully over someone's death. But I think as the holidays come and as time, you don't grieve the same. Some people have lost people 15 years ago and you're still
At the first day.
grieving like you lost them on the first day. So at what point do
That's
we
not healthy.
It's not healthy. So at what point do we say, you know what? I'm going to make the best of the good memories that we had, or I'm going to make the best out of the good times that we had together. It's not easy losing nobody. I'll be upset when the cat dies. So it doesn't.
I think that, like for me, because of the business that you have, I'm so glad that I convinced you to go into that
You know something?
business.
Can I say something right there? As I was making shirts these last, I think that's what happened to me today because I had to leave out the store, like making so many rest in peace shirts. And these people are not old, they're young. So I think that has a big part too of why I was like, can we talk about grief? Because it wasn't me, but I felt them as I was making the shirt.
You can
Or
identify
whatever I was
because
making.
you just
Yeah.
not long ago lost your mom. Our moms passed about a year apart.
Yes.
And I want to say, like, and again, I say I thank God that you listened to me when I convinced you to do T-shirts and things like that because of your
No, so many people
creativity.
trying to do it now. So
The fact that you've created so many things for me to remind me of my mom. I have a clock with my mom's picture on it. I got a blanket with my mom holding my hand. And every time I look at it, I could just remember her just pouring out to me everything that she endured as a young person. And so those things, like a reminder that says, she'll always be with me. I'm not like talking to her and waiting for her to talk back to me like these people's like my mom came to me in the night. No, because I don't even think I would still be in the room. But I'm just saying that I don't have the anger. I was really angry because my mom was the epitome of faith. And even with everything that people were doing wrong to her, she found a positive for it when she talked about it. But you could see that it was affecting her physically. So, in the beginning, I was kind of angry. And then I'm like, God, come on. Like, all of these people doing whatever they want to do, and they living the best life. Here she is. All she want to do is serve you. That was her testimony. All I want to do is please God, and to watch her suffer the way that she did. I felt some kind of way, and I couldn't understand. Still don't fully understand. And I know that God makes no mistakes, but it doesn't change the fact that as a human being who lost her mother, I have feelings concerning that. And I don't have to act like I'm holier than thou. Oh, know that all is well because God never makes it. No, that's not where I was.
He gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers.
Nobody trying to hear that. And that's the reality. Well, I can say it to you like that because you're my bestie. But when somebody else come, like you fighting to smile because part of you want to say just that. Like, you know what? Can you miss me with that? Because if you don't have nothing, just don't say nothing.
Don't say nothing. If you don't know what to say,
just don't say nothing. And so that's where I found just letting someone know, hey, I'm here. I can't, once upon a time I couldn't say it. I can only imagine because I don't have to, because it happened to me. I've lost mother, sister, brother, so, and father. So I get it. And if somebody would have just let me know that they were there, and that's that physical death. But again, like I said, not all death is physical. I broke up with somebody that I was with for 10 years. I'm grieving. I don't care how toxic it was. That's 10 years of my life. I'm grieving because, double portion, especially if it was toxic. I'm grieving because I invested 10, 15 years with one individual, and now they're going on about their life and I'm stuck with the residual. Or I'm grieving because I'm alone. I've never been alone. I even said that to you. I was like, I went from being a high school teenager, graduating from high school, preparing to go to college on a scholarship, got raped, ended up being pregnant. So many things happened along the way that would cause grief. I lost a very important part of my life without my permission. And so, I grieved it for a long time. And it took a minute for me to be able to not cry when I talk about it, or not be angry or want to hit somebody, or, want to curse somebody. I've learned that the worst thing you could do is ask God to go get somebody. Stop sicking God on somebody. God, I need you to get them because you saw what they did. And no. Because he already tells us in his word that he's going to vindicate us. So there's no reason for us to go after nobody via God. My children, would always say to me, how do you still talk to this person and you know what they did to you? How do you still let this person even come in your church and you know that they're talking about you? And I was like, I can only tell you that one day you'll understand.
Yeah.
Because until you really find yourself in that situation, which my eldest daughter has more than a little bit said lately, like, now I get it. Like, I didn't get it when you were saying it, and you was, I would get pissed off when you said it. And now that I'm in the middle of it, I get it now. I get it now. And it's frustrating. And I'm like, it is. Grief means loss of anything. There are young people that get sick over losing a pet. That was their friend. That was that person they could talk to that never talked back. That person who held all their secrets.
Right.
So grief is real, and it's not always, again, a physical. It can be an emotional death. It can be a situational death, and we grieve. We don't call it death. That's why people don't associate it with grief. They say I lost, or we broke up, or somebody moved away. Even that, can cause you to go into all of the symptoms of grief. the anger and the rage and the betrayal and the abandonment and being feeling like you just been dropped. You know, um, even let's talk about as close to home with Junior Deacon. Having a job, that job already employed you knowing you didn't have the skills, but instead of not hiring you, they hired you, put you through school so you can learn it, and then at the blink of an eye, they just left. Just when you thought you was getting ready to be straight, now you find yourself back in the beginning. That's a loss. That's yes. a process. It messes with your psyche, yes. And so people have to be more mindful of their speech. Tanasia says, when I lost my grandmother, I was very distraught because I wasn't always able to see her like I used to when I was younger. And with Christmas being her birthday, I won't be able to call and say, hey, can I please speak to grandma, or just speak to her on any day. And it's a real place, Tanasia. Like I said, my mother passed away in March. This is 2023. So mommy passed away in March 2021. Mm-hmm. And I didn't cry or anything, like I said, because I didn't have that opportunity. I needed to be the apostle. I needed to be the strong one for my siblings. I needed to be that strength for my children, especially my daughter who was caring for her, and so I didn't have time for me because too much needed to be done to get her where she wanted to be buried, how she wanted to be buried, all of those things, having to preach her eulogy, I didn't have that chance. So when that May came around, just a few months later, and Mother's Day showed up, and I picked up the phone to call her, I was devastated. I broke. I was a mess. Apostle had to stop what she was doing because she didn't realize that I was really like in tears, because we pray every now and then around the same people. So you don't know whether somebody's sniffling because they're crying. You don't know if somebody boo-hooing because you would have thought something happened to me that day. That's how distraught I was. And it was just the realization that I no longer have my mother. Mm-hmm. I think that's what she's really gone. Like, I went to call her and she's not there. And the reality of that just blew me away. I was a mess. When I tell you, I was a mess. I didn't want to be bothered with nobody. I didn't want to be bothered with myself. I didn't want to be with nobody. I didn't even want to be with myself. I was just a miserable person. And I went to church and gave God all I had. And then while everybody was thinking I was in worship, I was up there asking God to just take me now in my worship. I feel like my task is done. There's no need for me to be here. Just take me while I'm in worship. And it was a crazy day. It was a crazy day. I lost my speech. I lost the use and the activities of my limbs. I was just there. When I came to, everybody was praying over me. Whoever wasn't crying was praying. That's how real it was. And so from that point on, we just do the best that we can with the realization that we can't bring her back. God makes no mistakes, whether we like it or not. He makes no mistakes. He's in control. He already knew that this would be her end before it got here. And so now, me as being a woman of God, I can't be crying like the world who has no hope. I got to understand that now that is me, that it still means that God doesn't make any mistakes. It's easy when you got to say it to somebody else, but he meant it even when it came concerning me. And so just moving forward from that point, having those moments where I don't feel like being bothered. I don't want to hear nothing. I just want this time. And I would go in my room and put my jazz on and like have my mom looking at me at that clock, and just being in that moment, and it takes people around you to understand where you are. My bestie could have said, come on, what you doing? Or let me in. And no, she just wanted me to know that she was there. And she wanted to know if I felt like I was going to be all right. She didn't try to make up any other words. She just wanted me to know that she saw that I was moving differently, that I was talking differently. And she wanted to let me know that she was here if I needed to say or do anything. And that meant more to me than anything, and just moving forward. She knows when I'm having that moment. She be like, okay, well, we just gonna be quiet. Let's
You
just
have stuff on your phone that people are saying.
on my phone.
Yes.
On my phone, this says Tanisha.
That's because you put it up there, but in your comments.
You talking about here or here? You said in my phone.
Yes. See here, you can see it here. If you open up your comments.
I think that might be here.
Oh, it's there. Oh. So why is it showing up over there?
Because I highlighted it.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah. Shay, I still had my moments. I woke up one day this week just crying really hard, thinking about my mom. Then I realized her birthday is coming up in December. And this is what I'm saying. Like, you're good. It's like you're already dealing with the stresses of the world. And then you have these monumental moments, I call them, like October 16th every year. That's my dad's birthday. It's always like middle of the day when I say, oh my God, now I know what was wrong with me. With my mom, being right there at the new year, the beginning of the new year. New Year's would never be the same for me because, then the very next day was my mom's birthday. So therefore I'm already on my mom. And then, right after that to go into her loss, it's just a lot. Now that's physical death. We're talking physical death. When I got divorced, it was a different kind of death.
Baby.
It was a different kind of death. We did not part, in my mind, harshly, but vigorously. And it was still a death. Like, you would not have been able to convince me that I was getting divorced because, first of all, I was never raised to believe that divorce was good in the eyesight of God, even though he did do it. He did permit it because of the hardness of the people. But that divorce was like a death to me. If there was a part of me that just went empty. First, I thought I had, displeased God. But then I had to say, well, there's no way. This is why the Bible says that God's going to be the one who judges adulterers, because you don't know what's going on in somebody's house. And you know why you don't know what's going on in somebody's house? Because half of us have been raised to believe that nobody's supposed to know you having problems. And so therefore we all going to church perpetrating a fraud, which is a lie. And we are doing it so well that people think that there's nothing wrong. So when you break up, they be like, oh my God, but y'all was the perfect couple. Because I had many people say that to me. And I was like, well, we knew how to make it look that way, because of what we were taught. But that was a death that I just wasn't prepared for. And it took me a little bit, to get over it. I wasn't mad. I was hurt, that it didn't last as long as I thought it would. It bothered me that myself being one who loves marriage and loves the thought of it and loves, the ins and outs of it, that I would find myself saying I'm a divorcee. It was a different kind of death. I'm telling you, you can't, unless you've been there and done it, I can't even make you understand how it felt. But to be able to be at peace with it, to have conversation with your ex, no hard feelings. We do ministry. We both trying to support the other one in what we do, still having conversations and things like that. But it took time to grieve. I had to grieve that thing properly.
I think that's a good thing when you can divorce somebody and you still remain friends after the divorce. Might not happen overnight, but to come back around and be able to embrace that moment and you're able to fellowship, and I think that that's an awesome thing. Most people, when they end on divorce, they end on bad terms.
Mighty God. I'm not saying we well, when we first ended that it was positive. It wasn't, but with time, with time. Time heals all. Um, there were moments where when we saw each other, we because we came from the same church at that point, because he had moved his membership from where he was over to our church, so of course there were a lot of church functions that we would see one another at, and you didn't know who was looking at who. You didn't want to look because you didn't want it was just too much. But to have the years go by, and I live by it. I teach, even with my bestie and her ex, you never say nothing negative about them. Don't even find yourself saying nothing, especially to the children. And it wasn't always easy, but it was best. I'm a firm believer that in anything like that, especially divorce, it's best that you let the children find out for themselves. You don't want to, fix their mind with stuff. Not that it's not happening on the other side coming back to you, but you don't have to react the same way. And I held my position, and there was nothing negative I would say, because I wanted them to learn for their own self. So it was like a real death. Your children are now grieving the same situation. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta go through this grieving process doubly, because the kids don't understand that you're grieving, because you just move and you keep it moving. But you got to deal with your grief and then try to help them understand life as we now know it. And so, death comes in all kinds of ways. It's not just physical, just losing anything. When we lost Shadow, I felt some kind of way that I couldn't take Shadow with me to the next place, because Shadow, well, my daughter called her my guard dog, even though she was a cat, because she would sit by me. She wouldn't let too many people come near me. She would follow me up to my room. Like it was always, she sensed that something was off or wrong, and she would come and she would lick me, and usually, like when you have wounds like that and your cats lick you, it's because they know that you need healing. Mm-hmm. And so death is not always a physical thing where we're going into the grave. Any loss of any kind is a time where it's, unless you just told that person to go, and then some of us that tell people to go still grieve it because you didn't want to have to do that. Mm-hmm. Those who stick into the very last minute, and it's just not gonna work, so now we gotta go. That's a whole nother funeral. So grief, how long is too long? And then what is guilty grieving?
Guilty grieving?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning you know that you ain't do what you were supposed to do?
No, that's craziness. Sorry.
Wait, I wasn't ready for that.
Guilty grieving means that, like I said in the beginning, like mommy now, she's been away from us now a little over 2 years. And I'm not where I was. I'm not distraught at the thought of it anymore. I'm not crying when I talk about it anymore, unless it's one of those real personal moments and I'm by myself. But in the presence of others, except for like when y'all gifted me the things and mommy's picture was on there, just like the fact that somebody thought enough of me to keep my mother alive in my mind or in my heart, brought good tears. But there are people who, as they are healing from the death of whatever, they're feeling guilty because they're no longer grieving. Because people make you feel like, oh, you got over that quick, instead of, oh, God really did work for you or whatever instead. So now you're feeling guilty because you're not grieving the same way you were or the way you expected. I was dating someone who was still grieving like it happened yesterday, and it was 10 years. And I had to tell him, no, you need to go to God. You need to know we're never going to forget. Well, I would pray. We're never going to forget the people that we love when they pass away. But at 10 years later, you should not still be where you were on day one. I'll never take grief from anybody, but you should not still be 10 years later at the same place you were the day you found out about it, because you're not allowing God to be who you say he is. You said he's Jehovah Rapha. the God that heals. So if he heals, why are you still there, shutting yourself away, not talking to nobody, won't answer your phone? That's not where you should be 10 years later.
Not 10 years.
Not 10 years later. And so people mistake that as you saying, oh, they don't have a right to grieve. And that's not what I'm saying at all. Not at all. What I'm saying is you should not still be 10 years later at the same place you were on day one. You have to show signs that you yourself are becoming healed, or else you internalizing all this stuff will be the next person we funeralize, because you're holding it all in and it's messing with your body and it's taking you through a whole lot of changes. Tanasia says, how do you try to heal from being hurt but feeling still comes back? How do you try to heal from being hurt but the feelings still come back?
Hurt from what? What are you being? What is?
We're saying
because you're healing. Is it death? Is that what you mean?
Well, we're talking about different types of death. So either way is death. Whether it's emotional, physical, marital.
Yeah,
how do you try to be healed?
Not think about it every day. Do something to keep yourself focused from thinking on that every day. Like some people just sit around and they just think about that every day. Like, oh my God, she's gone. How am I gonna do this without her? I can't make it. I can't live. So you have to wanna be healed, or you have to wanna not hurt. Some people enjoy, not saying that that's her, but some people enjoy being in pain and somebody asking you every 5 minutes, what's the matter with you?
Blessings, woman of God.
Are you okay today? Like, that's too much energy. So you have to refocus yourself.
Yeah, look at you.
I was trying to think of the right word.
You was doing good though.
Yeah, refocus.
You was doing good. You have to redirect your attention. You can't afford to stay in that place. It's just not mentally healthy or physically healthy to stay in that place that long. Again, for those of us who say that we love God and he is our source, we can't say that that's who he is to us and then not let him do what he needs to do. Like some people feel like if they let go of their grief, then they're not owning up to the person who passed away. Do you understand what I mean when I say that? You know, there are some people who feel like they're not doing right by that person by not holding on, you know, by they feel like they're letting their memory die if they're not grieving. And that's not true. You can live on and still remember. You know, you have people that have memorial services. You have people that have balloon releases. You have people that, you know, for me, I mean, my dad has been gone most of my life because he died when I was so young. But every year on his birthday, I just want him to post his picture because my dad was good to me, you know, and so I don't ever want to forget that. But I'm not mourning. I'm not mourning him. I'm remembering him, you know. And when you can move from mourning to remembering, I think that that's a blessing all in itself.
So what did you do to not feel that hurt or pain anymore? Like, what was some steps that you took? Like, I know, excuse me, I'm tired. I know for me, when my mom died, the first 2 to 3 weeks was the worst. I would cry when I go to bed. I would cry when I wake up. But I think that was because I didn't get a chance to really know her like I wanted to. And then I didn't start finding out things that happened until she was almost out of here. And then she started opening up, telling me. And so I was grieving because I wish I could have known these things before she passed away. So there's still some unanswered questions that I don't have, that I will never get because only she knows. So it took me time. I can say today that I'm nowhere near where I was, and it's almost a year now. that she's been gone, and that same sting is not there as it was when she first passed away. So it's mind over matter, I guess.
Well, mind over matter is a good way to put it, but it takes a little more that's because you have an active prayer life.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have an active prayer life, you get to talk to God about a lot of stuff. You know, like I said, you have to allow him to be Jehovah Rapha. You have to allow him to be. We always talk years, 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 and years. He's a gentleman. He's not going to force himself. And you and I have had conversations about certain things, and you'd be like, well, the person got to want it. Because we can pray forever. But if the person,
purple in the face,
yeah, and if the person is not ready for that healing, or if the person is not ready to let go of the attention that comes along with that hurt, um, there's nothing you could do except, pray to God on their behalf. Um, when we are mourning, like I said, I'm no longer mourning. I'm at the place of remembering, and I just didn't think that it would be this soon that I would be able to say it because of how much I loved my mom. But then I had to realize because of how much I loved my mom and her teachings and her principles and stuff, like I'm no longer mourning. I'm remembering. When I go to bed at night, that clock lights up with my mom's picture on it. Last thing I see when I go to bed, one of the first things I see when I get up, because when we go to our store, there she is on the wall, and because of you, it's there. Because of Yanni, it's there, you know, different places, my pillowcases, different things that have been done. All of these things that I'm naming, my bestie makes y'all, by the way. My seat covers, with my mom, just everything, something that constantly lets me know that she's a permanent fixture in my life. Even though she's no longer here, I remember her words. I remember her rebukes. I remember her laughter as she tried to get our young people to hear what she was saying and know that she meant business. At the same time, there are things, that I have that allow me to have a lightweight, like I'm not burdened down with all of these feelings of why my mom is not here and why couldn't she, because I really do believe that God makes no mistakes. And um, I have to trust that he knew what he was doing because he foreknew us. He predestined us. So he already knew that this day was coming. I just, found myself asking him, did he really look at me at this process? Did he really think that I could take it like this? Like I wouldn't have, I just wouldn't have thought that I could have done what was done. And so, we bounce back and forth to these physical deaths, emotional deaths, situational deaths, um, things that we find ourselves entangled in, and sometimes we're just ripped apart from it unexpectedly, and now you're longing and you're wondering, which way is up and how do I get that back and what do I do next and how do I bless you, like how do I move forward now that that's not here. This woman of God says, thank you for this. This is really helping me. I need some pillowcase and blanket and clock of my dad because I literally have chest pain from the list of my dad, from the loss of her dad. It's been 2 weeks. It's like yesterday. I am so sorry. We are so sorry to hear of your loss.
Yes, I made her shirt.
So sorry. Well, the blanket and the pillowcases, that set is $100. It's a blanket, a full, it lays over your whole queen bed, a full blanket and 2 pillowcases for $100. You just have to send her the picture. She needs about a 2-week turnaround for that. So it's $100 for that. And the clocks are $35. I will show you guys. On the dresser.
Your clock?
Yes. Yes. Sitting right on the tip of the dresser. In front of
The clock is a picture of
the
you,
air
I thought.
conditioner. No, the one you made of me and mommy.
It's not a clock.
That is, what is it? A mirror?
Yes.
Oh, the mirror. I said clock, y'all. The clock she
I
made
made a
is
clock,
me.
too, but-
You can get the clock made with your picture in it. She made that for my
Or
birthday. For my 50th birthday, she made that for me. But I'm gonna show y'all this lamp, this mirror. That's what it is. It's a mirror. And during the day, it's just a mirror. But at night, it becomes a full-blown picture. I thought it was so. What'd you say? Take it and loose. Yes, it will. I have the prong out here.
Oh, I didn't bring the cord.
Bring the cord.
Okay, I'm going to get it.
So this is, oh God. This is what it looks like. A regular mirror. As soon as she brings the cord, I can show you what I am pressing the button.
You have a
Yes.
Your batteries need to be changed.
Hmm?
Your batteries need to be changed. The batteries are
So, like I said today. Good. So, this is what it looks like at first. You can see your own reflection in the mirror. And then when you turn the light on, can y'all see? Oh, let me see. There you go. That's a picture of me and my mom as she held my wrist and refused to let me go. She wanted me to know everything that had happened to her. Okay. So yeah. So again, woman of God, that's $100 for that set. This I keep calling it a clock. This mirror,
magic mirror.
It's called the magic mirror, and those are 25. Yeah, 25. But you know, anything that you can personalize, she can have it put on there. I got my mother somewhere everywhere. You know, each year they bless me with something during Christmas time, or either my birthday with something that reminds me of my mom. Sister Tori says, when my grandfather passed, it didn't even hit me at first. And the first Father's Day broke me. I'm telling you, that first. I hated Father's Day for a long time. But now I just think about all the good times we had. I do still get sad at times. That's what I was saying, Sister Tori. Like, I'm not angry, you know. In the beginning, like, just to watch my mother go through what she was going through, I was so angry. I was so, hurt that God would allow her to go through that. And then I had to shake myself because I can't minister to others and not be able to have ministry come even unto myself. And I had to realize, like, that saying is for real. God makes no mistakes. He knows better than anyone else because he's the one that predestined us and he foreknew us. And so now I am not so much as mourning my mom, but I'm remembering her with things like this magic mirror. It's my nighttime friend. Turn it on and I have my mom. And I don't know if some of you have seen my lives. Most times when we're in the office, I show my mom the blanket of my mom on the wall. But the next time I'm in there, we do a live, I'll make sure I show it again. But it is something good to be able to have that. Sister Tori, it was a lot for me with my mom. But then, like I said, it's not just physical deaths that we grieve. There was a relationship that I was in, at least I thought it was a relationship that I was in for many years. And this person treated me like the world. Like, he just made me feel like I was important, like it was all about me. And he would do different things, and he cared for my children as though they were his own. And we were together like this for years, years. And then an untimely situation happened, and he ended up in the hospital, um, having to have surgery on his brain. And it was just a lot. And um, having to let go of that relationship was interesting. It was interesting. I think if I didn't have my bestie, it wouldn't have been as easy, because she was there. She got to meet him, so she knows what I'm talking about, and she can say it's not true if it's not. It was just, you just couldn't have made me believe that we were never going to be together. And you know um, and just being able to deal with that in the beginnings, it was very hurtful. I felt like my heart had been snatched out of me. I didn't know what to expect next, or if I wanted anything with anybody else, because I just felt and knew that there was going to be no one person that could do for me all that he had done. He had taught me so much, and he showed me so much, and he was patient with me, and he never raised his voice. If there was something that wasn't cool, he knew how to talk to me. Um, Never, did he say anything to me in front of the kids. Always waited till they were gone and reminded me of how I could have done something differently. So when that break happened, it just wasn't easy. And I never thought that I would get over that person. But I want you to know that when God does a thing, he does it well. And he gave me a good source of memory. He gave me a good source of help. He gave me a good source of hope. And I am ever so grateful that he trusted me, and that he believed in who I am to handle this. Um, so death is not just a physical thing. It's an emotional thing. It's a situational thing. Um, then you have best friends. Like, for my bestie, we are besties, but she had a best friend. And when she couldn't see that best friend the way that she was used to seeing her, she missed her. She felt some kind of way that they were that far apart, that they would have to take a plane if they wanted to see one another. And it just wasn't that easy to happen. And so not all death is physical. Yes, much later on in life, within the last year or so, it became a physical thing, because she did lose her life. But until then, it was because of the way they want to hang out like they used to. And so we find ourselves going through some emotional things. So grief is not always connected to physical deaths. Grief is connected to loss. Loss, plain and simple. Anything that you've lost, from a pet to a friend to a relationship to a marriage. What other kind of relationships are there? Friendships, I said all that. So there's a level of grief attached to all of those things when you lose them. Even in the church, I would have to say, when you start out and you're fellowshipping with all of these people, and y'all all hanging out and supporting one another and showing up for one another, and then it just stops. You miss that. Sometimes you say, well, at one time I was saying I don't miss nothing, because first of first of all, you got to add value in order for me to miss it. And so then I had to be realistic about the fact that anytime you invest yourself in anything and it is taken away or removed, um, there's a feeling of loss there. There's that feeling of there's a void there, and you're wondering what you're going to fill it with, because you realize that that's not coming back, or either you're not receiving back. And so now, what do I do with this emptiness, this hole that's right there? Because there was something there, and so now that it's not there, I didn't have time to fix it up with putty. I didn't have time to stack it with wires or bristles or whatever we do with holes. I didn't have time to patch it up. It's just sitting there. It's just sitting there. And then every time something new comes, it falls into that hole. And I lose it again because I still haven't patched up that hole. And so everything new that's coming to me that might mean something is falling in the hole. And no sooner than I can grab hold to it, it's gone because I still haven't patched up that hole. And that's where many of us are. We haven't patched up that hole. We haven't, said to God, hey, I'm ready to be healed. We haven't, acknowledged to ourselves that it's time to be healed. Even Jesus, had time limits when he had his people walking with him, and then he questioned them if they couldn't hang, so to everything, there is a set time. And so we have to be in a place ready for healing, in a place ready for healing, because God's not going to work against us. He's just not. He's really not. And you keep on saying, well, why won't God heal me? Why won't you let him? Why won't you let him? Don't say it on behalf of us because we're in a crowd and you want people to think that you all about the healing process. And then no sooner than you by yourself, you want everybody to leave you alone for real. And you ain't trying to hear God because you just stuck in your grief. Stuck like quicksand. It's you trying to get out. And the more you try to get out, the harder it sucks you in. We have to be ready for healing. We have to want it, people. We have to. You have to want it. There's so much life ahead of you if you would allow grief to run its course. We would never, hear me well, we would never make it seem like you don't have a right to your feelings. What we're saying is don't live there. Don't move in. Pass through. Don't make a couch. Don't put a bed in there. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Even in the pain, keep it moving. Even in the disappointment, keep it moving. Even in the frustration, keep it moving. My bestie said you got to push and move. Yeah. Then Sunday she said push, then press. And I said, well, we could put them all together. Push, press, and move. Push, press, move. Push, press, move. Don't stay there in your grief. Be healed. Allow God to do what only he can. Because if we wait for our own selves to be able to do it, it might not ever happen. Because many of us are not strong enough on our own to make things happen. We need that somebody that said, nope, we're not dying here. Come on, get up. You need somebody to say, come on, get up. I see you going down. Get up, get up, get up. We can't live here. Not everybody has that. And some people don't have it because the pandemic took it away. So there's a level of grief that still exists. I don't have my go-to no more. I don't have my venting wall anymore. It's a real place. It's a real feeling. And we have to be in a place to be ready to be healed.
I don't want to be healed.
So grieving does not always mean, some people grieve jobs that they lost. They do. Like, what did I do? What did I do so bad? Or how did I mess up so bad that it cost me my job? Or, I was tired of watching everybody else go ahead of me. It just seemed like I wasn't going nowhere. And boom, I was there the longest, but I was the first one to be let go. There's different things that cause us to grieve. Things that are taken away from us, and we have no power to get it back. If I can bring my mother back, I would. But she'd be fighting. She wouldn't want to come back. She wouldn't want to come back. That would be so selfish of me. And many of us are. There are things, there are situations in our lives, and there are loved ones in our lives that we know their time is up. And here we go praying to God. And because God honors our prayer, they're still here. That's so selfish. I had to tell that to my mom and them about some of their siblings. If they're telling you that if this happens to me, then don't do this, don't do that. And now that time is coming, they are not able to speak on their own. Y'all saying, well, do this, do that. You're wrong. You're selfish. They had wishes and they should be obeyed. They should be followed through. Yeah, you agree, except for I said I want a DNR. You was like, no. You ready for that now?
You weren't talking about you.
Yes. Oh, but yeah, you gotta, God will do for you what you allow him to do. Some of us, it takes a lot longer than others, but he'll still do it. He loves us. He loves us. He really does. But he's not going to make it easy for us.
Isn't it something? He loves you so much, he don't make it easy.
Sometimes it sucks. It's like, oh, he loved me that much that he would give me this hard thing? Yeah, but then the word says, give it to him. And I'm like, why am I giving it to him? And he gave it to me. He knew. Y'all told me, right? He knew. He went before me. So he knew this day was coming, which means he allowed it. He ordained it to be so. So why am I go? Yeah. Got to start thinking about it like that. Well, our time is up. Unless my bestie has something else she wants to say.
No, it was really good tonight. I just wanted to come on to encourage the people and tell them to keep their head up, because grief can really take a toll, and if you're not careful, it'll take you out because you're grieving so much, and then we'll be burying you. That's what happened to my best friend. Her birthday is November the 12th, and her son couldn't take it with her not being here, so then he killed himself. So that's why we have to be careful, because you never know what grief can cause you to do. So in your time of grieving, try to find some prayer. Get in some, do they have any groups that can help you?
There's support groups for all that stuff.
Support groups, that word, support groups, counseling, whatever it's going to take to help you deal with your grief. But don't let it kill you.
And so during this time, from now all the way through the new year, think about somebody and call them. Check on them. You ain't got to spend the night with them. Just check on them. Might not be your favorite person, but just check on them. Who knows? You might be their smile of the day. The fact that somebody remembered them. During these holidays, I just couldn't imagine being alone. Even though it doesn't matter for me whether I be in my room or not, but I just couldn't imagine being totally alone. You know, every year I go through it with I want my kids, but they're married or they have their significant others, and so now it ain't like we all going to mommy house. Now it's who going to mommy house for Thanksgiving, because whoever don't come for Thanksgiving is going to come for Christmas, and what happens when that can't happen? So, you know, we've got to remember those people, call and check on them. Suicide is at its highest during this season, the holiday seasons. Suicidal thoughts and attempts are high this time of the year. Depression, all-time high this time of the year. You know, I used to always want all this money and stuff, and I'm looking at all of these actors and actresses that are dying from overdoses, and they were depressed and suffering in silence, and you don't know nothing till they die, and then you find out they were suffering. They had an addiction to pain pills, or they had and just I just see so many times where that could have been me. Because I did when I was younger with my first, after I had been raped, I did try it. It was mad because I woke up. You know, so it's a real thing during this time of year. Hey, Shauna, Prophetess Shauna. This is the time of year. Check on people, guys, please. please hear my heart. Check on them. Do not assume that they're okay. Every smile is not okay. You sitting up there giving have a whole dinner with your family, and they at the house wondering if they're going to eat it all. That's why we went on earlier. For some of you, it's still pinned on my page. Between the two churches, we're trying to feed 20 families this year for Thanksgiving, and you can be a part of that. The Cash App is on my page. It's Cash App RWWFMC. It is on my personal page. It's pinned there. We would need turkeys. We need all of the sides like cranberry sauce and candied yams and macaroni and cheese and cornbread mix, like stuffing mix. We need all of that. We were able to feed a few families last year, but we want to do more this year. You'd be surprised at some of the people who are smiling at you in church and they don't have anything. But their pride won't allow them to let it be known. So we just want to be a blessing. So during this time of year, call somebody. Ask them if they're okay. Ask them if there's something that they need done. Maybe you could go shopping for them. Maybe that's it. They can't get out of the house to do it on their own. Maybe they haven't been outside the house since they lost a loved one. And so now they have a fear of the outside. It's a real diagnosis. Like, check up on people. There are people who are dying. They are taking their own life because of the misery that is attached to the holidays. Loved ones that are no longer here. So we love you. Take heed to what we say. We hope something we said mattered to you. Thank you for staying on, those of you between the two pages. Thank you for hanging in there with us. To all the pastors and leaders that started signing on. I can't remember everybody, so I'm saying to all the pastors and leaders, thank you for signing on during this time of the year. You'll see us talking about it a lot because it's really, really serious. Suicide is just rampant right now because people are just tired of trying to deal with life as they know it. Just tired. Then you got families who have lost loved ones due to violence. Nothing that they were involved in, but just getting caught in the crossfire. I'm telling you, somebody out there needs to hear from you. Don't let them down. You ain't got to spend the night with them, but you can check on them. You could even drop by food groceries. Hey, just thought about you. Was at the store. Hey, dropping it off at your front door. It's just nice to be nice. But if you can, help us. If you go onto my page, you should be able to see that it's pinned, asking you to help us help somebody else have a great Thanksgiving. Our churches would love it. All right? So until next week, be blessed, be kind one toward the other, and remember to check on somebody. Preferably the one that you don't really like that much. Special points in the kingdom. All right, guys, we love you. Have a great remaining week. Those of you who looking for church, we're going to be in church this Friday down here in Allentown at Prophetic Birthing Room. We have Overseer Ronald Blagman and his congregation are coming down to Pennsylvania, Allentown, Pennsylvania for Prophetic Encounter. Come on. You don't want to miss this. Come on and be a part of that service. And then we'll be back here again Sunday morning as Overseer Selena Woodall comes to be a blessing to the great Apostle Queen Wyatt. So thank you. To God be the glory, honey. Because surely I ain't feeling it. Shauna,
I can't see.
She says, Apostle Armour, you're looking beautiful. There is a new glow and grace. To God be the glory.
Well, what about me? I'm not looking beautiful.
Don't hate. But okay, guys, we will see you. Hopefully, if all goes well and God say the same, we will see you on next Wednesday. Until then, be blessed.
Good night.
Wait, did you pray?
No.
Oh, can't do that.
Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you. We praise you. We give you glory for this time. We honor you. We thank you for those, God, that are even going through right now their time of bereavement. Father, we pray that you would touch them. We pray that you would give them strength. God, it's not easy, but we know that they can get through it with your help, God. We thank you and we praise you for this time, God, the holiday season, as it is coming up and fastly approaching us. Look on somebody, touch somebody, continue to grace them, is my prayer. We thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. For real this time. See y'all.